Okay. Marcy kids. Okay, we're on page 10, right? Marcy kids. Feel free to add into the chat if you have to, because I'm not sure which kids are Harts Hill kids. I think I know which kids are West Road kids because my wife might have taught you. But this is Marcy kids, okay? Marcy kids. Do you remember this haunted house? The chat should be exploding right now, and it's not. No one knows. I'll give you a hint as to where it is. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see what we got here. Haley Bassett. Haley Bassett, you said that you can see it. All right. Do you remember where it was? Do you remember where the haunted house was? Yes! Oh my God! Did we talk about this? The Santa Claus puppet? This sounds like something that I would have talked about before in another class. Haley Bassett, you ready? I can hear you now, I think.
Yeah.
Where was this? Do you remember?
No, but I remember seeing it, and with the Santa in it. I just don't remember where it was.
Okay, you've helped me not at all. I'm muting you again. How dare you interrupt me? How dare you earn my unmute by not knowing where it is? Okay, it was on River Road. I'm not sure if you guys know where River Road is. It's like, picture you're leaving the high school parking lot and you're taking a left. And then you take like the first left that goes down by the state trooper barracks. And then it eventually comes out to, I always call it Pizza Corners, like where Four Seasons is. There's pizza on every corner. It's like pizza, there's like Four Seasons, there's John's Pizza, there's like a gas station you get pizza at. It's like where that Dunkin' Donuts is. That's River Road in Marcy. And now it's an apartment complex. But back in the day, if you drove by here, I mean, God, you guys would have been like 7 years old. They would put, oh no, hold on. I gotta get my pen. Hold on a second. Okay, in this, oh, nobody wants yellow. Okay, in this, there we go. That's nice and scary for a haunted house. They'd have like these puppets hanging up in the window, and they would have like Santa Claus puppet, and then like in this window over here, there'd be like a clown puppet, and then you'd drive by, and it was super creepy, like this like puppet like hanging in the window like this, like that, like whatever, super creepy. But then you'd go by the next day and the puppets would be in like opposite windows. It was the creepiest thing ever, right? And then guess what? Something happened to this haunted mansion. It caught on fire. Oh my God. Some people say that kids started the fire, but some people say that it wasn't kids, that it was the puppets, and that now the puppets have no home. And they're currently wandering through the woods of Marcy looking for children. Ooh, well, anyways, here's the thing that I loved about this house. And by the way, Mr. Powers, who is a volunteer fireman, took a picture of the house burning because he knew how much I loved this house, right? Only because of the creepy puppets that were up in the window. But if you take a look at the house, and of course it's obviously destroyed at the top, and then they like I said, they turned it into like state trooper barracks or an apartment complex or something like that. But if you take a look at the front yard, nobody had mowed the front yard. Oh, look at, there's another picture just a little bit further out from the road. Nobody had mowed the front yard in a super long time. And because of that, the front yard turned back into the woods. And I always say this, people never believe it, but like if you don't mow your lawn and you give it like 50 years, it will turn back into the woods, which is absolutely crazy. So we're always talking about like wildfires, and one of the things like the Australian wildfires, these things are awful, especially if they're started by a human being. However, something to keep in mind is that forest fires have been going on forever, and they're kind of a way to clear out an old dead forest. Now, of course, if a human starts a forest fire, it's not a natural way and it's traumatic. But when these forest fires break out in like Colorado, or they break out in like California, everyone loses their mind, but it's kind of what's been going on forever. And the beautiful thing about this, I mean, obviously there's nothing beautiful about this picture, and there's nothing beautiful about this kind of desolation that you see, but it will grow back. It will come back. And if you don't mow your lawn, or something tragic like this happens, it will go back. So we're going to start with something called ecological succession. And it says one community replaces another, and it's going to happen until what gets called a climax community. Hold on one second. Hold on. Done. All right, timer go off. So it's a climax community is going to be what is in place. And a climax community, okay, so look, this is weird. When you guys took living environment, everybody that takes that test lives in New York State. You know, will there be a living environment regions this year? Nobody really knows. It's kind of a weird year. But when you take that New York State living environment regions, they know you live in New York. So they know that your climax community, obviously you guys don't have this diagram. If you're looking at your notes, you don't have this diagram. Ours is like a maple forest. Like once you get to a maple forest, it's not going to be replaced. And one of the things I do want to make sure we kind of draw your attention to, I boxed this off, but you can certainly highlight it or put stars next to it or whatever. Just so you know, like as time goes on, you're going to get more diversity. So you're going to start out like, here's your lawn right here, right? This is your lawn. How sad is that? And if you walk out on your lawn, you know what you're going to find? Lawn. You're going to find grass. That's all you're going to find. And then guess what? If you really let your lawn go this summer, you're going to get weeds. And then guess what? If you let the grass get really high and you get some weeds in there, well, maybe you'll start getting like mice, and then you'll start getting snakes, which would be really gross. But really, here's the thing. Right now, if you go out on your lawn, there's no diversity. But if you go into a forest where there's a climax community, there's tons of diversity. So just keep in mind that like a forest would have way more living things in it than would like your grass. Okay, so the habitat changes, and we're going to go through this real quick. The habitat changes can be influenced by soil light and crowding, basically meaning like what kind of things can form. And again, this is on page 10. And you guys probably had ecological succession back in living environment as well. Okay, and I'll let you guys jot that down. There's not much to say about that. Just obviously whatever soil you have, whatever available light you have is going to determine what can grow. So it's not exactly, you know, brain buster stuff there. I do, before I go to the next part, want to make sure we go over the difference between these two up here and these two down here. I did show you the slide, but to be quite honest, it was like 2 weeks ago. We called these K-selected, and we called these R-selected. And if you don't remember what R-selected means, it means rapid, like you're having as many babies as you possibly can, and you're not taking care of them. So we take a look at the dandelion seeds right here, and when you're looking at the dandelion seeds, you know that they just have a whole bunch of seeds, and they're really tiny and not very good. Whereas things like large trees, and especially an elephant, I got to circle this elephant right here, you can see my hand in the screen. The elephant is going to be pregnant for 2 years. It's only going to have one baby at a time, and it's going to take very good care of it. So we use like care versus rapid. So I just want to make sure we reviewed that because it's been 2 weeks. So when we go to pioneer species, now I love Utica College. I want to start out by saying that I love Utica College. It's a great school, right? However, there's something very interesting about their nickname. Okay, that's something very interesting about their nickname. Hold on with that Lakers thing. Pioneer means it's the first to inhabit an area, right? So it's like the first to inhabit, like pioneers. So, so here's the thing. It makes no sense to me why Utica College is the pioneers. Like, was this, like, usually when they name a team, like, check this out, when they name a team, like, they name it after something in the area. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I know a lot of people are like, well, Los Angeles Lakers, there's no lakes in LA. Right, I get that. But the LA Lakers moved from Minneapolis. And in Minneapolis, there are a lot of lakes. There's a lot of lakes in Minnesota. So that does make sense. But the thing that I don't understand is, why is it the Utica College Pioneer? And here's another thing. Why is the mascot a moose? Like, we don't have moose around here. And if you're like, well, we do up north. We do? Like, how far up north? Like, if there was a moose in this area, they would, like, put it on the news. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I love UC. I think it's a great school. They do really great things for our students. But I always felt that the logo and pioneers, like, was Utica the first place that was settled in New York? Probably not. All right, so I'm going to get rid of all that nonsense. And some examples of stuff that would grow in an area. Now, you got to think, like, the very first things that you would have. So I actually have to write this in. I hope you guys are okay with this. I hope my writing is not too terrible. Is grass would be something that could live in an area. Moss is something that could grow on just clean rock. And the last one that would be a real pioneer species is going to be something we talked about before called a lichen. And those are like those pale green crusts that you see growing on, like, rocks and sometimes like, I don't know, see them growing on the sides of trees. If it's green and fuzzy though, it's moss. But if it's like crusty and pale green, mint green, it's going to be what do you call it, lichen. So what's going to happen is over time is you're going to have the case selected is going to move in. Oops, sorry, I just did that and that was not kind. Oh, I just did it again. I want to erase my stuff at the bottom. I guess I just won't do it right now. But the changes in the soil and the water and the light are going to cause case select to move in. So at first, if you take a look, our R selected are like the first things that kind of inhabit an area, and then the case selected can move in. And that's pretty much so the two types of species that you guys should be kind of looking at as R's versus K's. But again, Pioneer, I mean, I don't know if thinking of the Utica College Pioneers is going to help you, considering the fact that, it's not really exactly the place we think of exploration and things like that, or pioneers. But either way, it's the first to inhabit an area. So what's going to happen over time is you're going to have then other things going to move in. After grasses move in, you're going to have some other things move in. So I have a piece of bare rock right there, and that's where you're going to have like mosses growing and things like that. So there's two types of succession, and then we're going to be done with this, which is putting us right around the same time I wanted to be. But primary succession is going to be, there's going to be, I think I have this on the slide already, good. They're going to grow on bare rock. There's going to be no soil. And this is super rare. In fact, this hardly ever happens. If you're on bare rock, there's pretty much two places you can find bare rock. And they're going to be very rare things. The first one is going to be a glacier retreats. Like if a glacier moves out of an area and there's like all this bare rock exposed. The second thing would be like if there's a volcanic eruption, and then after the volcanic eruption, you have like basically all of this lava coming down. It like kills off a bunch of stuff, and then that rock there kind of forms. So I'm going to have to write this in. I should draw it maybe, but we'll see how we do this. I'm going to start with, we're going to have, oh, I just heard my kids upstairs laughing. Okay, lichen. Oh God, my writing's so terrible. And we're going to start out with lichen, and we're going to start out with moss. And I did a much better job with the word moss than lichen. And those two things are going to be our things that grow first. And what they're going to do is they're going to actually break the rock down and make soil. They can actually, lichens will release acids, and moss will actually start to decompose, and it'll go from like hard rock to like more like soil type thing. And you got to go to like, okay, well, now that we have soil, we'll have grasses that can grow. And after we have grasses, what would be next? Well, now you got to think, if you stop mowing your lawn, what would move in next? You just don't start, you just like, I'm done mowing my lawn. You would get weeds, writing as neat as I can. Oh, it looks like weeds, and you would get shrubs. Okay. After you get weeds and shrubs, the next thing what you can get would be trees. And actually it depends on where you are. Like if you're in New York, you'll get trees, and if you're in Florida, you're going to get a different kind of forest. You're not going to have the same exact forest that we have here. But what happens each time is, now just so you know, right here, I should probably go back and say, like, these things here are going to produce soil. Just when you thought my writing couldn't get worse, you're like, oh, now he's writing on a screen. Which, by the way, I'm writing with the same, I'm not sure if anyone watched any of my videos so far, but I'm writing with the same Crayola crayon stylus that one of my kids got with like a tablet or something ridiculous. But the lichen and the moss, they'll make soil. And then once they make soil, your grass can grow and stuff like that. That's primary succession. Secondary succession is basically going to be like a forest fire. If there's a forest fire and then, oh no, this is so sad. But guess what? There's still soil intact. So when you guys flip to page 11, you're going to see these notes right here. And I got my haunted house. I got my haunted mansion up here. Oh, it was so creepy. There'd have like this Santa Claus puppet here and this clown puppet here. And then sometimes they'd be in the same window. And then sometimes they wouldn't be in the window. You know, a lot of people said that like kids would break into this place and move them around. But I think they were really like alive. Just come alive at night and haunt children and stuff like that. All right, so secondary succession, the big thing is for secondary succession is that there's already soil. That's the big thing to have. And now I've got like these two circles that I need to get rid of. And I do have like a little, see if I can get rid of this.